Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Eisenberg and Drew Crevello about WeCrashed, which is premiering on Apple TV Plus March 18th. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having us.
Excited. Lee, here's the thing, Lee. I remember being in media studies class, and when we were taught startups, it was always shown in like a positive light, right? Basically tied to motivation, and it's like you could start great ideas, start from the ground up and everything. But then bodies of work like this amazing show of yours show the other side, show the darker side of startups. What's that like, diving into the darker sides of startup and tech companies, Lee?
You know, I think with a show like this, seeing the rise and fall, you can enjoy both sides of it. And so there is something for me that's so exciting about the rise and the hustle and seeing someone get rejected millions of times and the door slamming on them over and over again. And then finally they get that little nugget and they start building the thing and the putting together the desks and all that kind of stuff and like finding their first space. And then you see the fall. And the fall is, you know, it's the comeuppance, it's the schadenfreude, it's the hubris that took them down. It's flying too close to the sun. And I think when you're able to have characters that you're completely invested in, you're kind of delighted and rooting for them during the rise, and then frustrated and curious and invested in the fall as well.
Oh, 100%. Now, Drew, with this limited series, I mean, you got to work with some of the best storytellers on the planet with this series, and they transformed into these very complex, ego-driven characters. So what's that kind of like, seeing it on script and then seeing it kind of transform on the screen, Drew? I'm interested about that.
Yeah, sure. Well, it's interesting. This wasn't, sometimes there's a project where the script's written and then you watch people bring it to life. This wasn't that, right? This was a case of we were writing the show as it was being shot. That's right, the nature of TV. And Annie and Jared, it was such a collaboration with them that they would be giving us input and we would be watching their performance and writing to how they were performing it. So it was really like, it was almost like writing in real time, right? So like over the course of the series, like we're kind of watching and writing and they're kind of changing their kind of adapting as well. So it was a crazy collaboration. It was really exciting.
And Lee, very quickly before we wrap up as well, you've done a lot of work in comedy as well. Good Boys is one of my favorite movies. Like I really enjoyed it. It's so good. What's the mindset change like kind of working on something like this where like, I love what you said about the rise and the fall and the drama and everything compared to comedies, Lee?
For me, I'm agnostic. I love comedy so much. I feast off drama as a viewer. I just care about character. I just want to invest in someone, and whether you're laughing with them, you're laughing at them, whether you feel, you see their pathos, I just want to invest. And with Adam and Rebecca, I think the show actually has quite a bit of comedy in it. But more than anything, I couldn't take my eyes off of them. And that's a testament also to, being lucky enough to work with Anne Hathaway and Jared Leto, but I was fascinated from moment to moment what they were going to do. And the challenge of that as writers and storytellers to keep the audience invested and to have a story where so much of it takes place with people sitting across a desk from another, talking and pushing papers across the desk and somehow being invested in that. That's the challenge of it, in the same way that in Good Boys, it was crafting the right fart joke.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. March 18th, it's premiering on Apple TV Plus. WeCrashed. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.